So wonderful to see everybody here. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you were able to see the awesome sessions that we had last week for our Unity Week, which is a really wonderful celebration Unity banquet that we've had in, when we're in person, that I've gotten a chance to enjoy, done by our Office of Multicultural Affairs. And this time we did it virtually, and you all did a wonderful, wonderful job. My name is Leanna Carroll. I'm one of the admission counselors. I'm here to help moderate this session today. So I'm going to disappear into the background and give it to my wonderful colleagues at the Office of Multicultural Affairs, OMA. As we mentioned in the description, it really is your home away from home. You'll see that today when learning a little bit about this office. And then when you step on campus and getting to know these individuals, hopefully in person, in the flesh. So give it away for you all to make introductions for yourselves. And then I will come back on in the end.
Thank you so much, Leanna. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our open house. My name is Naomi Sig, and I am the Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs. And we're so glad that you've chosen to join us today to learn a little bit about our office, a little bit about our team, and to learn about the experiences that other students like yourselves will be having at CWRU working with our office. So we're going to start not with just us, we're going to start with what a student has to say about the Office of Multicultural Affairs. So we're going to go to the next slide, and what we want to show you is just what other students think about who we are. And so you can read this through, but really I want to highlight some of the different pieces. And Leanna actually talked about how it's part of, we hope it's a home for you. We hope it's a home base. We hope it's a place you can find as refuge, as a solace, as a place to just be yourself and all the identities that you hold. We hope that it's a place where you can feel like you're not judged, where people will truly care about who you are and what's going on in your life, as well as your well-being, your success, academically, culturally, socially, emotionally, all of that. That's what we want to be. And we also want to be a place that's fun to go to, where you feel like you're learning, you're engaging with other people, and where you feel that you can be your true self. So this quote was from Fatima Haramin, who is one of our student coordinators and is a senior this year. She's a PASI scholar, and she's also the president of our undergraduate diversity collaborative. She's done a lot on campus. So this is what she talks about when she thinks about OMA. So now I want to go to the next slide and have you learn about each one of our wonderful team members here in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. Again, like I said, I serve as the director. And one of my main role is to really ensure that our office is collaborating and working with everyone on campus, students, staff, faculty, to ensure that we're thinking about how to make the campus more inclusive, more equitable, more just for all of you, for all students, both undergraduate and graduate students, because we serve all students on our campus. And so a lot of that means really looking at policies, looking at programming and processes on campus, making sure that students have a voice at the table when there are things that are being decided for the campus community, and calling out, things that might be exclusive, and making sure we have ways in which we can create processes to report those things, like our community concerns reporting system. So we do a lot of that in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. We are advocates for students. And so that's kind of my big role, is to partner and make sure we're doing things at kind of that macro level. So I'll turn it over to John.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Killings. I am the Associate Director for Multicultural Leadership and Programming. In my role, I get to do all the leadership initiatives on campus. That includes advising our Undergraduate Diversity Collaborative, UDC for short, also helping out with our Sustained Dialogue program, which is a national program that we subscribe to for dialogue to action, where we can dialogue across difference and build some alliances. I also work with our strategic planning initiatives on campus, And I work with our professional development things around our staff and becoming more competent in our field, as well as just exploring new opportunities that we want to learn and grow about. So now I'll pass it over to Randy and he can introduce himself.
Hello, good evening. My name is Randy Blackford, and I'm the Senior Assistant Director for Multicultural Education and Outreach. And so big parts of my job include Diversity 360, which is our campus-wide diversity inclusion training initiative. I'll be talking more about that, and outreach. And so a lot of communication both within our office and outside. So whether it's swag or a newsletter or flyers or other things that I do, it's working with that. I get to advise a couple groups, work some with assessment and programming, but it's mostly working with my lovely fellow colleagues. And I will pass it off to Janae.
Hey y'all, I'm Janae Kelly. I'm the Assistant Director for Retention and Graduate Outreach. So some key parts of my role when we think about the retention side, it starts over the summer every year. We have Emerging Scholars Program, which is kind of like a summer bridge for incoming first-year students from Cleveland area schools. So I like to help them get prepared for coming to Case Western Reserve University and kind of show them the ropes. And I'm able to do that for a lot of first-year students. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity. When I think about graduate outreach, it's a lot about community building. Oftentimes, graduate students are stuck in their school or stuck in their program and don't have opportunities to meet other graduate students outside of their school or program. And so we facilitate that in OMA and give them some space to meet other people where they are. And then one big thing, and Liana talked a little bit about this, I'm responsible for Unity Banquet, which is known as Unity Week this year. So we did a week worth of programming, and it's all about showcasing the community, all the things that we've accomplished over the years, giving students their flowers while they're here, giving them dollars, and also bringing everybody together for a lovely keynote every year and kind of getting us reinvigorated for the rest of the semester and for the upcoming year. And next is our lovely Jasmine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Pace. I'm the department coordinator here in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. I'm basically responsible for the efficiency and the organization of the office. I help with catering when we used to have cultural events in the office. I'm good with supplies. I also help with our pantry. We have a food pantry on campus. So if students need to come and grab anything to eat, whether it's something quick or something to take home, we can also do that. I'm also responsible for helping with our Wellness Wednesdays. I'll talk about that a little bit later with University Health and Counseling. And I'm the first person you'll see when you come in the office. So when you walk in the door, I'll be the one to say hi to you. I usually like to, discuss things with students and kind of see how they're doing. So yeah, if you're ever in the office and you see me, just say hello.
Thank you, everyone. And I will just say we have a great team in the OMA, and every single person in our office truly cares about you and is there to do whatever you need. If you want to just plop in and hang out and talk about your day, we can do that. We have a lot of people who just drop by and want to talk about what's going on in their lives, and we do that all the time. So we are a welcoming space, and we love it when students come by and say hi to us. So a little bit about kind of what our hope is, our mission is. OMA really works to develop an inclusive CWRU community, one that supports all students, respects and celebrates their identities, and facilitates their success. And that's really what we're about. And our hope is that through not just our programs and the things that we do as far as our initiatives, but just the way that we interact with students through our advising, as you've heard some people talk about the groups that they advise, and the way that we interact with our colleagues, how we partner with people and create opportunities for students through our partnerships. We hope that we're doing that, and we're really kind of really meeting the needs of students by all of the different things that we do. And you're going to learn about that right now from a ton of all the rest of our team is going to tell you about all of our different initiatives and programs. And so I'm going to kick it over to John to talk about what one big thing that is important in OMA, which is our space. So I'm going to have him talk about that.
Yeah, so we are located on the quad, which is the Case quad, which is where most of like the STEM related classes are, as well as if you're going to PE courses, we're on that same particular area. So we're located in 409 Sears building. And so we have a big black statue that's called Spitball that's in front of our office building. A little widely, or not widely known secret is that's like a multi-million-dollar statue sitting in front of our building. So yeah, that's where we are located. So we have multiple areas in our space that are available and open. So the first part is our front lounge area. So we have these really comfortable leather couches where people sleep and nap and hang out. We had these couches for a couple of years now. And if you saw the video last week from Unity Week with the tour, you saw me plop down on these couches and want to fall asleep, although I could not at that moment. But this is one of the best napping places on campus. Pre-COVID, we haven't had much napping. With COVID, we want to adhere to restrictions around safety. But it's really a great space for people to hang out and chill with their friends. We have board games and a TV up in the front of our office that scrolls across all of our announcements and events that are happening throughout the week. Next slide, please. Then we also have our conference room, which is a space for folks to study and hang out. This is one of the areas that a lot of our students come, and they'll reserve this space for group sessions, for tutoring, for meetings. We have a whiteboard there for people to, as you see, Xavier, one of our alumni, is writing out problems on the whiteboard. We also have a microwave and a full refrigerator there. So if you're on the quad and need to drop your lunch off, feel free to drop your lunch off, go to class, come back, return, and you can microwave it and hang out. Next slide, please. And then we have our front desk area where Jasmine is. And so this is the space where people congregate and every and anything gets talked about. It's just our communal water hole of a space. We also have, as you see in the lower picture, we do have a water cooler there with tea, hot chocolate, and coffee, and that's all free for everyone. We have a library there as well. And so this is a space that really people just hang out. You come in, you'll see Jasmine, you may conduct a little bit of business, but really people are just hanging and lounging in that area as well. Next slide. And then we have our back lab and lounge where we have more comfortable seating and tables and computers for folks to study, as well as we have our major events back there, like our kickbacks. Our faculty focuses happen back there. All the furniture back there is movable, and so you can rearrange furniture to fit the event that's happening or just to rearrange for study sessions. We've also had counseling sessions back there with our University Health and Counseling office, as they have done group therapy sessions for folks of color, just as a way for people to feel comfortable in the space and have a lounge area for them just to congregate and communicate. Next slide. Then we have our OMA library, which includes our books, films, games, toolkits. We also have some studies materials for ACT, SAT, LSAT, MCAT. We have some of those materials there as well. And so folks can come and check out any of these materials within our office. We also have Chromebooks for folks to check out if they're in the space and they need to use a Chromebook or may have to run a class and forgot their laptop. They can rent out a Chromebook for a couple of hours and bring it back. But this is just a space that we allow folks to come and see artifacts and different things that may be helpful for them for leisure reading, for class, as well as just for information and knowledge. Next slide, please. And then we have two things in our office that are fairly new to our office in the last year and a half. We have our Tower Garden, which was an effort for us to teach more of autonomy and healthy choices for food. So we grow our own food pre-COVID. We have different veggies for folks to come and grab veggies from our Tower Garden, really to teach different ways of eating and different healthier options for us versus just getting chips and cookies and things like that. And then we also have our Bill of Rights for people of mixed heritage. And this is really for us to highlight the folks that are mixed race in our office, in our community, to show that we appreciate and value them as well. And so all over our office, we also have artifacts from all over the world where our students are coming from and what cultures and heritages they represent. Next slide. And then last, about our space, we have a food pantry, and Jasmine spoke a little bit about this earlier, where it's a grab and go. You can come in and we have food, we have non-perishable items. We also have vegan and kosher, halal food options as well for folks that may need food in between paychecks, or if you're, just going through a day that you forgot to get food, feel free to come in our office. We have this, no questions asked, no judgment zone. It's just come in, grab, and this is a resource that's offered to all the people on our campus. And so now I'll pass it on to one of my colleagues and they'll discuss some more things about our office. And I think this is Randy.
It's Randy back. And when I said assessment, it's more about kind of the swiping in terms of who comes in and who doesn't. So, and a lot of people ask about, who comes into your office? Is it just, one group or whatever? Well, this is actually, and these are swipes from kind of pre-COVID that we had the full numbers. This is who comes in our office. So you can see it's not one group. It's not just a couple groups. It's a great mix of who comes in the office. And so, as John mentioned, a lot of students like to come and have lunch in the back in the computer lab and lounge area. And we've had orientation leaders kind of share, this was like the best place to meet students. Like they've made some of their best friends just hanging out and meeting people there. So this is when you look at it straight on. And when you look at it then kind of and compare this with our student body. Here is on the left is here who comes into OMA and who swipes. And on the right is the student body, the 2018, 2019. So you can see it's a little bit different. One of the things we love about who comes. So I also want to talk about kind of what some of the things that we do. So when we talk about student support, it's a lot of one-on-one. When you hear one-on-one advising, yes, students do make appointments at times and they do come to us with a specific thing, but a lot of this is on the go as well, on the fly. One of my favorite conversations I think I've ever had was a student who came and she was just looking for some envelopes for her materials to send away for Teach for America. She had all her application materials together. We ended up having a conversation for an hour and a half about teaching and her identity and what that would mean in the classroom and some content and pedagogy, and was a wonderful opportunity. And so I think with as Naomi shared with each of the staff here, we are not just doing this work because it was a fun job or something that we thought we could do. We do this because we love students. And we love students. We want to be there for them, and we want to be there for you when you're going through things. And so one-on-one advising, it's those kind of conversations. In fact, a student actually who would frequent John's office kind of pushed him to saying, you really need to get something in here that I can kind of recline on. And so John got something that isn't quite a chair, but isn't quite a full couch, but it's something that students have used quite a bit. It says open door policy. So absolutely, we're here. Most students don't make appointments. It's been a little crazy with COVID, so we're looking forward to getting back to regular hours when people kind of come around and are here. But referrals as well, we work. So a lot of some students will ask about kind of what do we do versus what do other campus offices do. And some of what we do, we have relationships with lots of different offices on campus. And so we want to be able to answer those questions and say, if a student comes and says, where do I go if I've got, I want to drop this class and pick this up? We're going to be able to direct them. We're going to be able to help them out. We've got great relationships with people in the counseling center as well in terms of, and have referred and kind of walked students down who say, I'm in this deep and I'm not sure what to do. We don't kick them out. We want to be there for them, but we also know we're not professionals at that. And so we want to take them to where they're going to get their best help that they can possibly get. So Diversity 360, I had mentioned this earlier. This is our campus-wide diversity inclusion initiative. I'm the point person for the office when we do this for undergraduate students. So it's also done, Janae works with it with graduate students, and then another office on campus works with it with our faculty and staff. So it is not something just for one group on campus, it is campus-wide. And in the years that we've had this, we have over 10,000 people who have participated. So it is something that keeps growing and changing and shifting. We've done it in the past. It's been done in person, and it's a 3-hour workshop that we've done. This past year with COVID and with Zoom, and it's like, okay, we can't do 3 hours. How can we do this another way and still make it interactive? We changed the content quite a bit, and we shifted it, and it was about an hour and a half, and it really went well. We got a lot of great feedback. So it's been one of those things that actually started in a sustained dialogue program, which we also have on campus. I think someone will talk about, someone will talk about a little bit later, but sustained. So students said, hey, we really need this on campus. President heard that and said, hey, we need, yes, I understand that. And she kind of tapped Naomi on the shoulder and said, make this happen. We brought in an outside consultant who worked with our campus. So this isn't something that was done somewhere else that they thought they had a good idea. No, we started this here. We put together the pieces, working with faculty, staff, graduate students, and undergraduate students to get that feedback about what's needed, put this together here so that this is what our campus needs, and have been getting great feedback in the years that we've done it. I will pass this over to Jasmine.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our programs and OMA. First, I'll talk about our Wellness Wednesdays. Wellness Wednesdays, we partner with University Health and Counseling. It used to be one day. We would do it one day during October, and then we decided to switch over to do it in multiple times a semester. So some of the things we offer are information about resting, spiritual community, self-care tips as far as mindfulness, meditation, yoga, things along that line. And so our purpose is just to kind of help you have the tools to maintain and sustain yourself while you're at school, even outside of school when you're at home and you just need to, take care of yourself, because I know at times it can be very rough and you need to just kind of just take time for yourself. So we want to promote that wellness piece. And that kind of goes into the Tower Garden also with the taking care of yourself with eating, with our pantry. So we want to make sure that, we have a well-rounded wholeness office in our space. So next slide. Because of COVID, we've had to change around a lot of things that we do. We talked about earlier about how students would come in and we can talk to them and communicate and see how they're doing and just lay eyes on them just to see how they're doing. Even if they're saying like, oh, I'm fine, we can tell, physically if they're not doing okay. So community Zoom check-ins are a way for us to, do that online. And so we've had times where we had it with alumni. They've come in, talked about their enthusiasm for the office. We've had students come in, staff also. We've had games. So, we would have like a Kahoot. I don't know if you are all familiar with that, but it's kind of like a trivia game. And whoever the winner is, we'll give them a prize. Usually it's a gift card. And then we've had our OMA Halloween community Zoom. So that was the one that we all dressed up in and we were all on there. So it was fun. It's a very fun time. It's very different from our usual being in person, but it's a way for us to connect with you all and stay, not only building relationships, but sustaining those relationships. Next slide. And so pre-COVID, we would do our multicultural kickbacks. I'm sure we're going to bring them back. I don't want to say post-COVID, but in a better situation than we're in right now. And so this is a time where OMA staff and students can get together to have a casual dialogue, to talk to one another about what's going on, and also the food. We would go to different local restaurants to get cultural food. So each month we might have a different theme. So say if it's Black History Month, we might go to different Black restaurants around Cleveland, Ohio, and order for them, order catering. And we make sure we have enough food because we usually get a lot of people. So if you ever on campus, come early so you can get a plate. And so that's a way for us to kind of just, dialogue with one another. Sometimes we might have a panel or a guest speaker, but usually it's just a very casual place to come and eat and congregate with one another. Next slide. And so just before COVID happened, we created a program called Affirming Identities. And this was a casual space for identity communities to come together and meet and network with one another. It started in the fall of 2019. We've had a Latinx Affirming Identity event, Middle Eastern and African American. And unfortunately, we weren't able to have our Asian affirming identity space or a multiracial affirming space because of COVID-19. So we're hoping to bring that back in the fall. But yeah, it's just a time for everyone to get together to talk. We also will have food there, but not only will we have staff, students, and faculty on in our space, but we also have community members. So we might have someone that you may be interested in working with or getting information about certain things with. So it's just a great way to network, a great way to just kind of, again, we're a space where we want to make sure that we're getting together about communing together. And, sometimes things can get a little rough. So it's just a great way to just form a community and building community. And so we have other programs that we offer, but these are some of the programs we're offering right now.
Okay, I think that's me. So, in talking more about our programs, we're a programmatic space. We love putting on things and hoping people come and enjoy and learn something new. So, as it says, according to this new sticker on this slide, we piloted a program called Faculty Focus. And so the purpose of Faculty Focus was to highlight our underrepresented faculty on campus. They're doing such great work all across campus. And not everybody knows that unless you're in their department. It's hard to tell who's here and what they're working on. And so most recently, we had Dr. Cassie Pittman-Clater on last October virtually, and it was a hit. She talked a lot about the work that she does, not only here at CWRU, but also across the nation. She shared that she works at Sephora and helps them with their bias training and kind of doing some diversity things because they came out in the news and having a bias incident. And so how do they recover from that? CWRU faculty are working with national brands to be able to create inclusive environments all across the country. And so those are things that we want to highlight. We want to show all of the cool things that they're doing, be able to share their name across campus, give them their flowers while they're here. That's something that OMA is big on, making sure that people are recognized and feel included and feel special. And we feel that way about our students and everyone. And so then on this slide, we have more and more programs. So we just started our Asian American Identity Group discussion. So they would meet weekly and just kind of talk about what it means to identify as Asian American here at CWRU, here in Ohio and Cleveland, all on the broader scale, talking about your experiences and building community in that way. We also have recently started up an OMA Advisory Council. And so us as OMA staff thought to ourselves, we love our office and we will continue to plan and program and all these things, but what do other people think? And what would they like to see us do? And so we decided not only students, but students, faculty, staff, community members, who all should have a say in how OMA operates and the things that we focus on. And so we decided to start the advisory council and kind of select some people who have really been invested in us to help us be better, do better, program bigger, all of these things. And so we're really excited about that. Some things that also have happened in our office: we host therapy groups. So we partner in multiple ways with University Health and Counseling Services. The purpose of hosting the therapy groups in our space was because sometimes underrepresented students have a mental roadblock to going to counseling services. So maybe we thought we could ease that roadblock, make it a little bit of a speed bump if students come into our space for those same services. And it's really been something that's really successful and has given students an opportunity to build community in a different way. We've also hosted a Filipino identity lunch. And so that was a huge hit because I don't think students were expecting the food, and then it was great food. And so they were really excited to learn something new. We of course had some facts and things like that all around. And so that was super, super exciting to build community and learn about other cultures, things that you wouldn't normally ask or know. It's a safe space, a brave space in OMA to be able to ask and learn. And that's the same case when we celebrated Mardi Gras. We bought, are they king cakes? we bought a big king cake. Somebody found the baby. I don't remember who it was, but we decided to celebrate because we have so many students here from Posse who come from New Orleans, and that's part of their culture and the things that they've grown up with. So why not make them feel at home while they're here at CWRU? We always go the extra mile just to make sure students feel included and like a little piece of home is here with them. Next, John is going to talk a little bit about Sustained Dialogue because that's his baby.
Yeah, so Sustained Dialogue has been around campus since 2014. It is a national dialogue program that really helps campuses figure out how to break that barrier of communication with individuals. So we dialogue with 5 major steps, which means getting to know each other and building relationships, understanding what some of our issues are within our campus, how we want to solve those issues, who needs to be around the table, and building an action item. We are a nationally recognized campus for our dialogue groups here on campus. So we've had a winner for our student groups back in 2016, and then our faculty staff group and administrators won the National Dialogue Award in 2017. And so we are grateful that we have been recognized nationally, but we also are doing a lot around dialogue to help our campus build better relationships. So our campus administrators use a dialogue process as well with our students. They're not just, talk heavy, they actually engage and listen and build that relationship with our students to learn what their needs are, what their goals are, and how we work together to build those new programs, build those new initiatives, and make our campus more inclusive and welcoming across the board. Next slide, please.
I'm on mute. Back to me. So I talked a little bit about my role being graduate student outreach. So these are some photos from the graduate student programming that we've done. So that top left corner, that's an unplanned photo from one of our graduate student luncheons. So what we would do is host students all across campus, all graduate students across campus, to come and just share a meal. And we would shut down the back just for graduate students. And we did that because our space is usually very undergraduate heavy, and we want graduate students to feel like they can have community amongst themselves. And so students all across programs met each other, and they were like, I didn't even know you were here. We could be friends. We're immediately besties. Even though you're in anthropology and I'm in biomedical engineering, we're pals. And so it was really exciting to see them make connections in that way, and kind of get to know each other and form some bonds that have lasted throughout their time here. That middle portion, sorry, go back real quick. That middle portion where it says diversity graduate student, Diversity 360 graduate student series, we hosted pre-COVID a year-long series once a month where we would have students, graduate students, do a deeper dive on what they've learned in Diversity 360. And so it would be a monthly dinner where we would have somebody from the community, whether the CWRU faculty or just community leaders, talk about a social justice topic that would impact graduate students as they become practitioners in the world. So maybe we needed to have a conversation about gentrification. Maybe we needed to have a conversation about the school to prison pipeline. These were kind of heavy, hard-hitting discussions, but they were all about education and about preparing students to be a well-rounded practitioner. I would always say that, because leaving CWRU, you're going to be academically prepared regardless, but are you socially prepared to work in the populations in which you serve? And that last, that bottom picture is from our graduate student barbecue. So we decided, let's just secure a place on the lawn, put out some tables, get some lemonade and some soul food, and just eat and hang out together and just commune on a really nice day. And so that was a really, really fun event. We had music playing, everybody was eating and hanging out. And so we tried to find ways to make sure graduate students recognize that OMA is a resource for them too. And for you all, once you make that decision about graduate school, if you decide to stay here at CWRU, we have you still all through that time. And so this is our slide about Unity Banquet and scholarship benefit. So these are some screenshots from previous years' Unity Banquets. So this was our second year holding it virtually. Last year, we did a one-day program where we were able to give away scholarships. And just so you know, scholarships are open to all CWRU students. We usually open them in February, early March. And we try to give away between OMA and our campus partners around $10,000 each semester from our Momentum Scholarship Fund for students to use however they choose. So you can use it for tuition, you can use it for study abroad, you can use it for internship, externship expenses, all these things. They're not tuition only. And so we want to be able to help students persist. And we recognize that money is a factor. And so we do our best to raise money and be able to give that back to the students. These are our 2019 scholarship recipients. So this is the last time that we had Unity Banquet in person. It's usually like a big wedding every year. Everybody comes really dressed up and we have fancy food and we're in this fancy hall. And so I'm very excited for when we can get back to that and safely. But yes, these are all of our recipients who are super, super excited to be recognized by OMA and be recognized in front of their peers and leaders across the institution for all of their hard work.
All right, thank you, everyone. And listening to everybody talk, I was kind of getting excited about next semester because I'm so excited to have students back on campus and actually get a chance to be in community with folks and eat great food together at our kickbacks, or even just, spend time together at the Unity Banquet. So I'm getting excited for that. And I'm looking forward to meeting with people one-on-one in student organizations at different various student group events. So that's making me super pumped about what next semester is going to bring as people come back to campus. I want to remind everyone, we already talked about it, but we do have an open door policy. If you want to just come in, no pressure to set up a meeting or anything like that, but you're welcome to do that when you're on campus. And we hope that you drop by anytime. I think there was a question about us when we're open. We're open Monday to Thursday, 8:30 to 7 p.m. So you can study late on the quad. If you have later classes, we typically have study tables that we do. And before pre-COVID, we had study table prizes. So if you came and studied between 4 and 7, we gave out random raffle prizes to people who are studying, because we want you to study and we want you to, so this is a way to kind of really encourage that. And then Friday, we are not open later. Our hope, though, one day is to have an identity center, just to kind of put that out there. We've had students already go with our staff on trips and benchmarking trips to Chicago and Michigan to look at maybe having a whole building instead of just one office space for us and for not just our team, but also for student organizations. Hopefully we would have classroom space, a kitchen space, communal programming space, lab like lounges where students can kind of hang out that would be decorated, and various ethnic community art and things like that. We hope to have opportunities for small study spaces and hangout spaces as well. And so that's in our long-term plan and our vision, and we're looking forward to that being potentially part of your experience at CWRU. And so this is our information. You can absolutely call us, email us. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email omadirector@case.edu, and I'm happy to answer your questions. And so we actually have time right now to answer some questions. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to Leanna to help us navigate that. And just a reminder, we are available electronically via email. You can set up a Zoom call with us, GChat, whatever. We've got all of those things since we only have one person at a time in our office for the remainder of this semester as far as staffing goes, but we are available to you. All right, so let's go ahead and hit those questions.
And let me just interject really real quick about that weekend spaces. I know that was part of the question. We do have a pseudo annex office in our Twin Center, which is our UDC lounge, which we advise UDC. So that building is open Monday Sunday through Saturday. And so that space is available for people to study as well. So a lot of our students hang out there in the evening hours. Once we're closed, they'll move over to the Twin Center and hang out with their friends, their study. A lot of our student groups like Afro-Am and BSU have their meetings there. There is a TV that connects to cable, and so people will lounge and watch all the primetime TV shows that come on in the evening. So that's a space for them to hang out as well. So we do have a pseudo/like annex office that we oversee. So that isn't also available for students.
Naomi, we have another question that someone typed in. They said, other than the virtual checkups, what activities were made to help the Asian American students during the time of an increase of Asian hate?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. And we are working on a lot of different things. So first, we had University Health and Counseling Services had available drop-in hours for any of our students who felt impacted or wanted to talk about what was going on in the country around anti-Asian sentiment, anti-Asian violence and hate. We also hosted the Office of Multicultural Affairs and our LGBT Center, as well as our APITA Task Force, which is our Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Task Force, worked together on hosting an affinity space for folks in the APITA community. So faculty, staff, and students all met together to talk about how they're feeling, how they were doing, what did they need, and how could we address issues on our campus of bias and discrimination. We also have the task forces working on a visual campaign, as well as a list of recommendations for our institution to be more inclusive of the APITA community. Our group is also working on several different programs for Asian Pacific American, Pacific Islander American Heritage Month, which is in May, which include a variety of things, including film screenings. And we are excited about hosting a keynote speaker and a potential service activity that will benefit our Cleveland Asia Town. So we're doing a lot of different things that are trying to do some education, support, a mix of different programs. And of course, we're here. You know, if you want to talk about anything, if you have questions or an idea to bring to us as far as what we can be doing differently, we absolutely want to empower students to be part of the change that they see and that they feel we need to be working on together to create a more inclusive, equitable, and just campus community.
In addition, we have our campus community concerns reporting system, where if anyone feels a sense of bias or anything that's happened to them, they can report that to that system, and that is run through our Dean of Students office, which oversees our entire campus. And so that's a great way, and we use it as an educational tool as well to educate our campus on things that are happening, but also for us to brainstorm and create new initiatives that will make our students feel safe and welcomed and a sense of community on our campus. And so we always have someone around that are paying attention. We have a police department on our campus that are trained to work with our students and our community that helps out with correcting some of the hateful things that are happening, but also just patrolling our campus and making sure that students feel safe. We have a bunch of virtual apps that you can join into that will help, like with Safe Ride. So if you're feeling like you're on campus at night and you don't feel like walking alone, they will give you a ride to your residence hall. They can also escort you if you need a police escort anywhere. And they also have a way that if you think that you may be in harm, that you can just track it through the app, and they will know where you're at on campus and provide you the quickest way of safety for that. We also have Crew EMS, which is our emergency system on campus, and they also help with transports and things of that nature. And there's that student run, so that's your peers helping out with that. So our campus is a pretty safe campus. We are in an urban area, but we have our Crew PD, but we also have 4 other police departments in the surrounding area that also help patrol our campus. So no worries, they all connect with one another and they talk weekly with the chiefs of police. All of them talk together to make sure that we have a secure campus.
Thank you. Our next question is, given the nation's recent Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate movements, are there any protests that occur on or near campus? And what's the school's policies on protests, demonstration, movements, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have lots of protests that happen in Cleveland, and we actually have rallies and protests that happen on our campus as well. And we encourage everybody to exercise their right to assemble, to protest about any social justice issue, identity issue, or topic. We actually had a protest rally on Stop Asian Hate at the end of March, and it was in Cleveland Asia Town, and had a lot of students who participated in that. And we also had students participating in creating a DACA rally in support of DACA and undocumented students. There is a university policy that we would have to follow as far as, you know, where we can have it and those types of things. However, it is something that is available to students as possible. And we've had students be part of the Black Lives Matter protests in Cleveland as well, and have created their own, I think our students have created their own activist movement on campus. About 5-6 years ago, we had the We Belong Here movement, #We Belong Here movement. We had a die-in for the White Coats for Black Lives Matter, where our medical students did sort of a demonstration where they all kind of laid down in their white coats in support of Black lives. And we also support students in really kind of giving us and the university ideas to make this place more equitable, more inclusive. And so we've been working a lot with students, particularly who have come up with proposals. And it started last summer. We had a proposal that was standing in solidarity with the Black members of Crew and the Cleveland community. And that turned into, that proposal actually was filtered into a larger task force right now, which is called For a Better Crew. So you all are welcome to check that out. It's on our website. And we have a bunch of different areas that we're really trying to work on improving, whether it's Greek life, to racial justice, to LGBTQ, to issues on mental health and gender equity. So we've got a ton of different things that we're trying to address and work on as an institution. But we can be better. Even with all that, we still have a lot of work to do. And we really do work alongside students in making sure that that's happening. So thank you for that question. Any other things, team, that I'm missing with that?
I know Melissa Harris Perry, our keynote speaker from Unity Week, just spoke on activism and supporting students and where to encourage and discourage. So, and the true cost of activism. So that was great advice, and I appreciated that.
And in addition, I would say that we also, we advise a lot of the groups that are organizing the protests and the rallies. And so one of the things that we've committed to as an office is to be supportive and to help them through that process. So don't ever have to think about you have to go through this alone. You have advisors in our office that are helpful. We know the policies for campus, so we try to keep you all as safe as possible and making sure that you're abiding by policies, that you're not going to get into any, turmoil with that. But we also give you the autonomy to learn and grow, right? But, we're there alongside you. So it's not unusual for one of our staff members to be there with you at night during a protest or on the weekend, walking right alongside you and helping you out and giving you the tips and working with our administrators, because we are connected to the administrators on campus. And so we are there to support. I think that's one of our commitments, to make our campus more inclusive, but also more welcoming and a home feeling for our students.
We do have another question, and that's, what do you offer Brazilian students?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, our Brazilian students, a lot of them end up working with La Alianza, which is our Latinx student organization on campus. And in addition to that organization, we also have Alianza, Latino Alliance, which is our employee resource group for faculty and staff. But we also include and love to have students join in on that. And actually, a few years ago, I had worked with some Brazilian students on campus to host kind of a meet and greet and hang out. And it was held in conjunction with a faculty member from our SAGES office, so our SAGES community academic area. And so we were able to kind of get in community with a big group of kind of our Brazilian students, both graduate and undergraduate students. We can get you plugged in. If you are worried about making connections, please let us know. We'd be happy to get you in touch with a faculty, a staff, or a student who might share your identity and be willing to talk about it, or work together. And Cleveland does have a Brazilian restaurant, Batuque. So if you're interested in checking that out when you're around, we'd love to have you even recommend it as one of the places we might have for multicultural kickbacks one day. So thank you for that question.
And it's not too far from campus. It's like a mile and a half from campus. So you could actually take the RTA. You all have, if you become a student here, you have RTA Pass, which is our public transit, and the bus route goes right up near that restaurant. So you can take one bus and be right there.
Students, please feel free to ask more questions. You have the experts here. And obviously you've noticed you can ask questions anonymously, which is wonderful. A couple, we don't have much time, but Naomi, I know that you talked about kind of this, presence, certainly from my vantage point in my office. OMA is such an important role at the university, really across the board. I don't think that there's any kind of programs that I don't hear OMA kind of talked about as being part of or connected to in some manner or fashion. But maybe, Naomi, you can talk a little bit about, for those who are here now and don't really know, what other kind of connections and partnerships across the university that you have and that you connect with. I know that some of them have already been discussed, but maybe some of the others that have not.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I think one of the strong communities that we work together with are our alumni, and we've been really steadily increasing our relationships with alumni. We're actually working on creating an Asian alumni network right now with our alumni office and several of our Asian alums who are interested in formulating that. We work with our Quad A, which is our African American Alumni Association, as well as our Latinx alumni network, making sure that we're connected. And a lot of them will sit on panels. They'll, during homecoming, we've had events with our alumni, and really kind of make sure that not only are we continuing to be in contact with students even after they leave, but also they love giving back and being mentors or helping to give advice and wisdom to current students on whether it's application process for grad schools or, what's it like working in this sector of industry, whether it's engineering or medicine or business or, education. So we have really great alums who work with us on that. I would say we also have some great connections with our Cleveland community partners. We work with different groups to, whether it's corporate or nonprofit, to come into our office and get to know students. So when Jasmine was talking about the affirming affinity spaces, we've had folks from Dominion Energy come to those. We've had folks from OLA, which is a nonprofit organization in Cleveland, or Esperanza, another nonprofit. We're connected with groups like Asia, which is Asian Services and Action, Inc. in Cleveland, Asia Town, as well as Motive Asians, which is a young Asian American community and nonprofit group in Cleveland. And then of course the NAACP and Urban League, we've had connections with them, and we actually are hoping to restart our NAACP chapter here at Cleveland. So maybe you could be one of the students to help us do that. So we've got a lot of different ways that we connect with both on-campus folks, but also community partners. And we also encourage students to get in touch with other students at other universities. So one of the things that came out of the hashtag We Belong Here movement was getting access to funds to get students to conferences, national, regional conferences, based on their identity. So whether it's the Black Solidarity Conference at Yale, or the Midwest Asian American Students Union Conference, or the USHLE Conference, U.S. Hispanic Leadership Institute in Chicago, or HAKU, Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. We've been sending students to different places, NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers, or SHEP, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. We try to send people to all these places because we want to make sure you have access to as much resources as possible. And so those are just a few things. I'm sure I'm missing some, so I'll turn it over to the team too.
I would say we also partner with our other identity centers on campus. So our LGBT Center, our Center for Women, and our Social Justice Institute. We partner with them regularly with programming, but also with space-wise. And so they all have their individual spaces. And so we try to collaborate in those spaces, but also provide a uniform alliance and an agreement that we support students in their identity development and learning and growth. We know that college is a time that you explore and learn more about yourselves. And so all of those centers really wants to be a space where you feel comfortable and feel okay coming and exploring those things, right? It's a judgment-free zone. We try to really make sure that, you have that space to just learn about yourself, but also to discover, right? Because you're away from home, you may find new things, and that's okay, right? We're helpful with that, and that goes with our open door policy. We've had students that have been going through the identity exploration to come in and just ask random questions like, how do I do this? Or how do I understand this? And we want to be there and make sure, if you need a shoulder to cry on, cry. We have tissues and we have plenty of food to cry and chat and talk about. And so that is just a space that we do that. I mean, pre-COVID, we used to have a lot of sheet cake and birthday cakes and things like that. So that was one of our favorite things to do. And pastime was eat cake and talk about everything. Hopefully we'll get back to that soon.
That's great. Well, we have very little time left, but I did want to kind of do a round through with each of you. I hope that everybody on this session today, really got a sense, which I've known since I've been at the university, how important, how connected, how much OMA does for our community, but also how much that you as a student, when you're coming to the university, are going to find your home away from home, your family, your connections. I think that's really important when you're thinking about choosing an institution that can continue to grow and continue to get better. And certainly we have place for, as all of us do have places for improvement. But I just wanted to leave with everybody, maybe each one of you, if you have maybe one piece of advice for a student when they're getting to campus, what you might recommend a student to do, and then one thing that you love about our particular students in specifically. So let's go. I'm going to hit Jasmine, Randy, John, Janae, and Naomi, if you could go in that order, and then we will close it out.
I think a piece of advice that I would give to new students, if you're feeling, not feeling too good, don't isolate yourself. Go out your room, come to our office. At least pick someone that you feel comfortable with to discuss if you're having issues, because we don't want it to get to a point where, it becomes, worse than it has to be. So if you're feeling any kind of way, please talk to someone. And then the thing that I love about our students is their drive and their tenacity. They're very driven. When they have an idea, they go after it, and they inspire me sometimes. I'm like, I don't know if you should do that, but they keep driving forward. So, that's one thing that I love about our students. So connect with students, connect with staff the way you can. Don't isolate yourself and have fun. It's going to be a new year. Hopefully COVID is a little bit better. So, we can all get together and talk to one another.
This is going to be harder as it gets on because we're going to be taking the answers from you. So I don't know it's Janae or John's going last, but my little piece of advice would be come to OMA earlier. And if you happen to choose by any chance going to another university, find their Office of Diversity Affairs, find their Office of Multicultural Affairs, find whatever it is, their student center, and go there, meet the staff, connect, because there's so many opportunities. We all have heard stories of students like, I wish I knew this was here, and they're a sophomore or they're a junior. They're like, I wish it wasn't until then that I felt like I really connected. So by all means, don't waste time, kind of dive right in. It will be maybe scary at first, in terms of meeting people, but I think you'll be pretty thankful afterwards. In terms of the second question, what do I love about K students? I think maybe tagging on Jasmine's idea about their drive and just how all encompassing that is, oh, I'm a dance major and pre-med, or I'm working on, Spanish, Chinese, and I'm doing mechanical engineering. It's like a full range of things, and they don't do them halfway. They do them the whole way. So yeah, this is highly motivated, very creative, very full ranging group of people here that are pretty amazing to work with.
So my advice for students would be okay with not having everything correct. It's important that you understand you can rebound from everything. You have the resources here on campus. You have everyone here that's rooting for you to succeed and going the extra mile to make sure that actually happens. So don't worry. You may have a bad day. You may get a bad grade on an exam. That is totally okay. We're here to help you through it. And the thing that I love about our students, I think it's just their ideas. They have plenty of ideas that they come up with and they want to run them by you. And I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about or how you're going to do it, but go ahead and try it. I think you all come with a great scope of ingenuity, innovation, and just newness that is amazing to see you all go towards that. So we can't wait to have you there and bring in more ideas.
So ditto to everyone, but I think my advice would be, especially in your first year, find ways to prioritize rest, because it's going to be easy for you to not rest, and it's going to be easy for you to do all-nighter after all-nighter, and that's not really good for your mental health. It's not productive for you as a student. Find ways to prioritize rest, and it's going to carry you a long way, and it'll make everything seem easier because you're rested. And so that's something I would say. Something I love about our students is just the spirit of advocacy. Like, students are always fighting for each other. Even if it's not an identity they hold, they see that there's a gap here. And so I need to speak up for this person or put them in the forefront so they can speak for themselves. That's something I love about our students, because they're always thinking about the next person, how to give them a leg up, how to even the playing field. And that keeps us on our toes to keep thinking about that too.
This is all fabulous advice. And you know, as I think about what I would say to first year students, I would say my advice is to find a mentor and one day be a mentor. So first, as you get here, I want you to find somebody who you can talk with, you know, in an ongoing, sustained way, who will listen to you, who will be able to kind of, you know, help you through, whether it's the tough things or celebrate the wins. Like Janae says, give you your flowers while you're here, but also be someone that you can seek advice from and who can help you navigate you know, being a first year at a new university. So that's something that I think is so important, is you find that person. And again, I'm going to say my email is the OMA director at case.edu if you want to email me, or if you want to email OMA at theoma@case.edu. We'd all be happy to help get you plugged in with someone who might be willing to serve as a mentor for you, or just introduce you to people, and you can choose who your mentor is. We have in the past had a mentoring program for undergraduate students, you know, for upper class students to mentor first year students. So we hope that we can reestablish that, you know, after this kind of year that we've had, and get you connected with people. And then one day when you're able and you're wise and you know your ways, be that mentor for someone else. So find your mentor, be a mentor one day. And then as far as what I love about our students is just how genuine they are, and when they are fighting for the causes that are important to them. I often have to be the one that says, you got to put that on your resume that you did this, this, and this. I'm like, oh yeah. I said, because, you know, they're not doing it to get, you know, recognized or anything. They're doing it because they truly, genuinely care about their community, about that social justice issue, and they want to change the world for better. So I really appreciate that and love that about our students. And I know you'll be coming to our campus, and you're probably going to be one of those students. And we are looking forward so much to meeting you and hanging out. And we hope that you will stop by. Like Randy said, come to OMA early. We'd love to see you at our first kickback or even earlier. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Lovely advice across the board, and great, you know, notes on how great our students are. So it's the OMA at case.edu. So I'm going to throw that in the chat so everybody has that. And thank you so much for everybody's time today, for joining us to learn more about OMA and about the university and how important this is to our community, to our larger community, right? So with that, thank you, OMA, for your time and your attention and all the hard work that you endlessly put through. I also want to invite everybody to the future. We also have some additional diversity events that are happening. OMA kind of kicks us off. They had Unity Week last week. And here we're kicking off with OMA for the start of these diversity events. So please check out the additional ones that we'll be having. I'm going to throw a link in here, and you know how now to get a hold of the OMA staff. And again, thank you everybody for being with us. I appreciate you guys going over time as well. I know students have to get to their sessions and we have to leave, but thank you again for everybody, and be well and take care of yourselves and each other.